talk about just the transition and the evolution, because there are people that are in that space that you were in and you shifted beautifully. So can you talk about just where the shift began for you?
Absolutely. I mean, when I was 19 years old, and I caught a case, my older brother and my father was one of my co-defendants on the case that we allegedly participated into this assault. It was supposedly happened when I was on a winter break from college, and I came in town and somebody snitched and said they pointed me out in a lineup of photos and said that it was me there, right? I remember going through that whole case. My brother was fighting from behind the bars because he already had a case. You understand me? And I remember being locked up in jail. I think I was in Iowa at the time. I was this bogus marketing job that I had where I was going door to door selling magazine subscriptions in the summer because that was my only way of getting out the hood at the time, like, and staying on the road and trying to keep myself out of trouble. Because it was nothing but trouble in the summertime in St. Louis. And at the time I was in St. Louis.
Okay.
And so I remember, after I got locked up, reading this book. And this book, it was a storybook. I forget which book it was, but it was a book where I could imagine the story, the character. It was about a bank robbery. And I'm sitting there reading it, and I was able to get through that whole book. It was like a movie in my head. And then when I closed that book, and it got to the last chapter in the end, I looked around, and I'm still locked up with no more value, no more power, no more ability to get myself free. And I remember being transported from Ohio to Chicago to California, and to be able to face trial. And I was able to get bonded out from there. And then my older brother, he gave me a list of books to read. You understand me? Things that would actually empower my mind and that would make me an adversary to the case that I was going through. So here I am reading these books, The Art of Deception and Socrates and a bunch of other different things that he gave me so I can understand the lingo, I can understand the way the system was built, the foundation of deception that they're utilizing in this courtroom. And I remember just doing my research and studying and even telling my fat fumbling lawyer some things that he should do in order to get me off. Yeah. And so there were certain things that I tell him to do to look at the case a certain way, and it will get certain motions dismissed and certain things thrown out the case. And I remember afterwards, we get to the point where the jury would have to make the decision. You know what I mean? That's a heartbeat moment. You're in there, and you don't know what it's going to be, because I think I was facing 7 to 10 years in prison at the time. So it was impossible for me to plan ahead. You understand me? When you don't have a roadmap for your future, and you don't know, because you have to wait for something that's outside of your control, right, to happen, then you just got to focus on the moment right now. You just got to focus on getting past this hurdle, then I can plan out. Yeah. So in a belief system that, you got to be a God to beat the devil, I was always taught that I'm a God. So here I am finding myself in the devil's web. Now I got to figure out how to get myself out. So I utilized the intelligence and the literature that I was reading at the time, to unfinagle myself out the situation. And so they got to the point where they're reading the verdict and they say, Bro Muhammad, not guilty. Man. Felt like God just entered my heart. You know what I'm talking about? And I felt free. Yeah. Because now my wings can spread again. Now I can plan ahead for the future one more time. Yeah. And I decided from that moment on, I was never going to go back. You understand me? For any of the old decisions that I made, my old ways of thinking, my pattern of thinking. And I had to think about, all right, what got me out the situation?